Greetings and salutations from Reef Rod Aquatics. It's been a while since I've done a video. This is my umpteenth attempt at doing this video, and I really don't like doing this video. Difficult message to have to spread, and difficult things to talk about, and they need to be talked about in a correct manner, or else things have a chance to be taken out of context, and I don't want things to be taken out of context here. So it's going to be long-winded. Do my best to make sure that there's a link in the description so you can watch this full video on YouTube. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. As of recently, the Middle Tennessee Reef Club has come under some scrutiny, drama from outside the club. There are entities making slanderous, false accusations, demanding to see books, things of that nature. And I'm here to communicate to the Middle Tennessee Reef Club community and other communities too, just to let you guys know what's going on, what the story is, maybe promote some thought and give everybody something to think about as what maybe they haven't thought about before. I'm going to try to do this in segments so that I don't get sidetracked and go off on a tangent or something else like that. So I'm going to do my best to try to keep this somewhat structured on bullet points to a certain degree. So I think let's address the first bullet point here, where the group is being asked to show the books. So first off, Middle Tennessee Reef Club is not a non-profit organization. They're not. The history of the club is something went horribly wrong on the previous owners or officers of the group. And when the new officers tried to go through the process of getting nonprofit, there's a lot of hurdles, lots of roadblocks, lots of stuff came up, and they were not capable of going through and obtaining their nonprofit status. Now, the officers of the group had really two choices. One, can't operate. We're not a nonprofit. We're done. It's whatever. Or put it into a trust and operate it like that, and at least keep the group going to a certain degree. And that's basically what they've been doing for the last several years. Is they've been working with the Tennessee Department of Revenue, doing everything that they have to do, doing everything legally by the books, dotting their I's, crossing their T's, doing all that wonderful stuff, because they knew that eventually they were going to end up getting to this point where they could go after their nonprofit. Bullet point number 2. The group is literally owned by one person. One. It's a trustee. His books are not to be public knowledge. They're not. How would you feel about handing over your bank statement to somebody that you don't even know? Right? What's on that bank statement? What's there? Let's take a look at your credit cards that you use. What are you actually paying for? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to show anybody what it is that we pay for, or what we do, or anything else like that. So no. Ain't happening. Forget it. The next thing that I would definitely like to look at and bring into light and show in the next bullet point here is, let's take a look at the club, Middle Tennessee Reef Club. I don't know how any other clubs work. I sort of got the, I talked to some of the officers and I sort of understand how things operate. This group, for the last several years, some of the officers have actually had to come out of pocket, spend their own hard-earned cash to help this club, to have benefits, to do raffles, dinners, barbecue, anything else like that. The last few years, the officers have had to come out of pocket. Why? Because the group's not really set up for a lot of revenue. You may get a donation from time to time, right? And I think they have a list of their donors. But what are they being donated? Like, really, what? How much is being donated? You know, do you really believe that for one moment that a company like BRS is donating thousands of dollars to the Reef Club? No, I don't think so. I'd be willing to guess maybe 1,000. I know for a fact my first donation was like $250. And matter of fact, Chris Ward, if you're watching this, send me that link to your guys' PayPal account and stuff like that. I'm going to be making a donation of $500 because that's how much I believe in the group. But we'll get back to that in a second. So the group is not, and has not, for several years, had any good steady stream of revenue. Memberships cost $20. Or those freaking fancy cards that they hand out for us, that almost pays for those alone. So it's like they're not making money hand over fist. Now, recently, it's come to my attention that the last couple of frag shows that they actually did, there's a good possibility that these officers don't have to come out of pocket no more. So, you know, it's taken them several years to learn and get to this point and figure out what they can do and what they can't do and all this other good stuff to get to this point to where they can start generating this kind of revenue, which is only that much better for the group. So hopefully between my donation, how well they're doing with the frag shows and stuff like that, hopefully the officers don't have to come out of pocket anymore for stuff for the club. But with that said, why would anybody want to look at those books? Why? There's no need to look at those books. They're in a person's trust. And unless you have a subpoena or a judge or a Department of Revenue or the IRS, there's no way on God's green earth, if it was me, I'd hand it over to anybody. I let the officers look at the bank statements and the stuff like that and the transfers and everything else. But other than that, nobody else needs to know what the hell's going on in the book. Nobody. Just the trustee and maybe the treasurer. End of story. The argument is mute. Because once you take a look at the model, the only reason why you would actually want to look into those books is to see who's paying what. Who's doing what. It's the only reason why to look in those books. And there's no reason for you. Even a nonprofit will not let you take a look that deep into their books. A nonprofit a nonprofit organization has to list their revenue publicly. And then all of their officers, chief executive officers of that nonprofit organization have to have their salaries listed. A lot of people don't know that. You could go to Goodwill. You could go to a site where Goodwill, Salvation Army, Wounded Warriors, all of these like nonprofit organizations says right in there what the intake is, what the revenue is, what actually goes to whatever person they're trying to help, and then what the officers are actually making. I hope in the future that Middle Tennessee Reef Club actually does get their nonprofit. And I hope that they start making more moves, maybe doing more frag shows, maybe doing more calendars, maybe doing more t-shirts, you know, generating more avenues for revenue and start paying their officers. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? How does that benefit the group? Aren't they sucking up resource? You can argue that, but here's my argument. Once you become a paid city member and an actual paid officer, when you have those board meetings, they have to be had. You're being paid. It's work now. Your time is being compensated for. We have a meeting Sunday night. Come on, 8 o'clock. I'll see you there. Well, right now, because everything is so voluntarily, right? They want to have a meeting with all the board members. You get that one board member, that one officer that goes, well, I got family in, and I really need to spend time with them, and I haven't seen so-and-so in a while, so I'm gonna have to miss this board meeting. Right now, with everybody being a volunteer, okay, that sucks. We got a lot of shit to talk about, and we need to figure some stuff out, and we really need you there, but okay, whatever. But now let's go ahead and flip that script. You're all paid. We got a board meeting Sunday. Person comes out and says, I got family in, I haven't seen them in a while, and I really need to spend time with them and everything else. The CEO can go ahead and take a look at that and go, all right, man, I completely understand, but we got a lot of stuff to vote on and to work on and everything else. I mean, we don't see you Sunday, we won't be seeing you. So that's the difference between paid, and it really will make the group, in my personal opinion, will make the group more efficient at what it is that it does. The growth will be there. I think there'll be more benefits. I think we'll see more opportunities, more meeting places, stuff like that. I think the group will just get better from that. So I hope they could get their nonprofit status going and get that, because we really need that. Let's address bullet point number whatever, I forget. The community. We really do need the community. The community is important. The Reef Club is important. Say whatever you want about it, but it's actually the members that make the club. It's not the officers. Officers don't make the club. They're there to help the club. They're there to organize the club. They're there to bring us together. But the real testament of the club is not its officers. It's their members. And, we need to be able to have that place for us as hobbyists to go to with like-minded people. And, I've been in this industry I've been in aquarium keeping all my life. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. It's not really all that important. All you need to know is, you can talk to my mother, you can talk to my father. I've always had something in a glass jar with water in it. Always. Always had something going on. From the time that I could walk back and forth to a swamp or a pond. So I've been through this in years. And, whenever I get around a bunch of like-minded people like myself, I always learn something. I even talk to my competition. I got good relationships with some of my competition. To have that sense of place and to have conversations and to talk about bad clients and talk about good clients and business models and everything else. So every single time I talk to somebody who's like-minded like myself, I really do my best to pay attention and listen. There's stuff there for me to learn, even though I've been around the block once or twice. I'm going to be around the block 3 or 4 more times. And I hope I keep on running into people that are like myself, so I can keep on gathering that knowledge, gathering that information, so I could apply it and use it, not just to my hobby, but maybe even my business. So we really do need that sense of community. And the club is only going to be as good as its members. So I'm asking everybody to hold fast in this ordeal. This will pass. It will get worked out. I can tell you right now that all of the officers are doing everything in accordance to the law as they're being instructed by the Department of Revenue. For for Tennessee. Hang in there. It will get better. I can guarantee you that. Let's go ahead and address the entity or the reason for the drama. Well, sort of address it. Yes and no. Not really. But you get what I'm trying to say. As hobbyists, we are consumers. Okay? That's why the group is only as good as its members. Okay? The hell with the officers, the group's only as good as its members. So as members, how good are we? Let's make a concise decision together as members to determine where our hobby goes, where our industry goes. Make that decision together as a group and have us feed those entities that are moving in the direction that we want them to move in. Okay? Let me give you an example. Let's go ahead and step back 20 years. Zoas, acros, all these different corals and everything else, they were priced reasonably. They were still agricultured and everything else. And all it took was one company to start adding wacky names and jacking the prices up on the corals. And as a community, we failed in that. A lot of us complain about the prices of things, but as a community, we fail because we bought them. Why are they charging that much for some Walt Disney? Because we keep buying it. As a community, if we come together and go, nope, not worth it. Beautiful coral. I'll wait till one of my other idiot friends that has too much money to buy it and try to get a frag off of them, and then I'll share it with everybody else. That's what the community's supposed to be about. We bought into that whole name calling stuff on the Zoas and then the acros and this, that, and the other thing. We, as a community, we failed on that. So everybody else who's bitching about coral prices, don't bitch too hard, because we as a group and we as a community bought into it. We made that, ultimately together, we made that concise decision. And now we're paying for it, literally. So, step away from that example for a second. We need to understand that our dollar does have value. As an individual, it's a dollar. It doesn't really have too much value. But if we all stand together as a community in unison and say, we don't like what this entity is doing, let's not feed it. Now, when we're talking about entities or we're talking about somebody's way of life or money in general, it sort of somewhat sounds bad, right? Let's call it for what it is. It sounds bad. You're literally calling for the demise of a company or a business or somebody's livelihood. No, I'm not. I'm saying we have a voice, we have that dollar, and we can use that to either get that company on board, get that entity on board with where it is that we want to go, or they won't be. So we move in the direction together in unison where we want the industry to go. If there's certain pieces and aspects of the industry that don't want to follow us, that's their decision. It's not ours. We've all decided in unison, this is us. This is where we're going to go. And everything else that refused to move with us made the ultimate decision not to do that. It's not on us. We showed you what direction we were heading in. We told you. Follow our dollars, because that's where it went. And if you ain't going there, that's not our choice, that's yours. So you want to be thick-skulled or whatever it is and stick to your guns, and we're going to do it this way and we're going to do it that way. Okay, good. But if the industry is moving that way, That's on you, bro. That's not on us. So work together as a community. Let's start making good decisions about what direction we're moving in. Let's figure out what we're going to feed and what we're going to starve. And then let whatever that is ultimately make the ultimate decision themselves, whether or not they want to continue to starve or they want to stop the BS and move in a direction that the community is moving in. So I'm at 20 minutes right now. I'll go ahead and stop this video, but the club is moving in the right direction. Ignore all this other BS and drama and false accusations, and just hold fast. And remember, as a community, as a group, as an individual, if we all stick together, we have real power to influence the industry. So keep that in mind. Let's all get together. Let's talk. Let's have that conversation where we're going to push this direction or we're going to push that direction. But whatever direction we choose, let's do so together with some understanding and see if we can't make our hobby better. And let's do that first on a local level, okay? Let's start that off locally first. And, you know, once we get local, maybe we'll go state. You go state, maybe we'll go nationwide, maybe we'll go worldwide, whatever it is. But let's work together as a community, like Middle Tennessee Reef Club, and work those things out together. Be good, everybody, and keep on reefing.